I'll be having very interesting guests who have personal stories to tell to the world. Welcome to MNB World Talk Show. Hello there, welcome to MNB World Talk Show's new episode. In today's episode we have a guest who's a social researcher, focuses on policy. Her name is Dolgion Aldar and she's consultant and board member of Independent Research Institute of Mongolia. Well, quite education and quite a resume. So this show is all about you and your personal life, personal perspective, and we are trying to show off. Right, so let's start from your childhood. Mm-hmm. You are the youngest, mm-hmm. right? You have two sisters, mm-hmm. and tell us about your childhood. Were you a spoiled kid?
I don't think so.
No?
Because the era I was born into wasn't very favorable.
For spoiling the kids?
Spoiling the kids, I would say.
But you know, spoiling kid, you can spoil kid in very different ways. Not just
but
padding.
My sisters tell me I'm spoiled, so it's all about perspective,
you
I guess.
So you are spoiled, you
yes,
just don't know it.
Maybe.
Okay, so tell us about your childhood. Mm-hmm. How was it?
Mm-hmm. I was born in Ulaanbaatar. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed my childhood. Mm-hmm. A lot of time spent outside playing. At the time, Ulaanbaatar had a lot of public spaces, green spaces. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed my childhood. Yeah.
So your childhood was spent in the transition time, right? From 1990s. Mm-hmm. 1990s. And how would you define your childhood if I ask you to give me 3 words? Mm-hmm. What words would they be?
I experienced a lot of changes.
Okay, changes, one.
Changes. Happiness.
Happiness.
Of course. And I would say experience.
Experience?
Experience. Experiencing different things. Experiencing
different things. Mm-hmm. Okay, were you a A-grade student? Because from what I see from your resume and all these researches,
I wasn't too bad.
You were a nerd?
A little bit, yes, I would say.
Nerdy kid? Why did you choose to be a sociologist in the first place? And tell us some background story. Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said earlier, in my childhood I experienced a lot of changes. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is up till like the age of 10 or 9, 11, of course also it's the age, I guess. Mm-hmm. I didn't see much change happening and everything was nice and happy. Mm-hmm. But starting from when I was around 10, we started seeing all of our public spaces taken. Mm-hmm. by big businesses, mm-hmm. and we saw a lot of big buildings rising up, mm-hmm. and our neighbors started moving somewhere. My friends moved away, mm-hmm. so we started losing our friends, our spaces, and for some reason I felt a lot of anger or stress in the society.
Really? As a kid? You were a teenager, and
yes.
because of these transformation in the society.
Yeah, just how people's relationships seem to be changing. I couldn't tell why or what was the reason. Even the number of cars increased, more and more traffic jam came. Mm-hmm. We started having air pollution. So all of these things started happening gradually. And of course, as someone who's living at the core of all these changes, I was wondering how these could be changed, or how and why this happened in the first place.
But you asked the question during the change that you wanted to change.
Yes.
You wanted to change the change.
Yes.
Yes. So critical mentality led you to sociology, I suppose?
I suppose, yes. Also, I studied in Switzerland during my childhood, which also describe a lot of changes again, complete contrast. And I think...
How many years did you stay there?
3 years.
3 years.
2.5, 3.
So from there you had some ideas, and when you came back, you had something to compare the society.
Exactly. So then there I did a lot of reading on different social topics, thanks to my teacher who guided me at the time. So once I came back, I was determined I would be working in social kind of sector. I didn't know exactly what.
Do you enjoy it?
I really love it.
You love it?
Yes.
That's good. As long as you love what you do, and you know, that's like life is soft. Okay, you started working at the IRIM, Independent Research Institute of Mongolia, in 2009 as a researcher.
Yes.
But and you did executive director for a while, and now you're a board member and consultant. So during this time of your career, what was the most challenging or most memorable research that you did?
Yes, there's a lot of interesting research we did. The first thing that comes into my mind is in 2012 we did a really detailed study about coal transporting truck drivers in South Gobi.
Okay.
At the time, mining boom was happening. Mongolia had the top GDP growth, and everybody was talking about coal export and how much money it's giving Mongolia. But nobody asked the question, who's behind this boom and drive? How all this coal are being transported, and at what cost?
Okay.
And when we went to the field and studied truck drivers, local communities, even women who are working in the service industry there, it was just really, really sad. Even nowadays we hear that the truck drivers, there are a lot of accidents and deaths happening. They don't have any infrastructure there. They're just doing their best to get some income away from their homes, no water, nothing there. So the types of social issues, they were just unbelievable. And unfortunately, until today, we don't see major change. At the time, using our research, we try to advocate a lot for making sure there should be local administration in that area that is responsible for at least providing health and police or any kind of basic state services.
What did you get personally from that research, from doing that research, that experience?
The one message I got, of course my profession is about social research, but the one message I got from that is we really, as an institute and as social researchers, we need to be very vocal and present in policy decision-making arena. If we don't bring out the voice or what's happening from the social aspect in Mongolia, we hear on the news or on parliamentary sessions people talking about numbers and number of seats or number of income we're getting or losing. No one's talking about what's happening to the lives of Mongolian people. That's
really
why
like on the ground, people to people in relation to like work environment, etc. I got it. Well, but I must say that you researchers, not only you, but IRIM initiated this project, the Glass Wallet, and it really had succeeded because now we have a glass account project, you might say, but it is happening in the policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Yes, IRIM was one of the actors among many other civil society, including Open Society Forum and a lot of other NGOs, to promote and advocate for transparency. And one example was Glass Account project, which we piloted at district level, where local government, citizens cooperate to disclose their budget. We tested it and it was successful, and it provided the model for the larger policy and legal change.
Larger frame, yes.
Yes, and for, I think the whole momentum continued for around 3-4 years with the support of many different people.
But you were part of it, right?
Yes, we were part of it. And now we're working on making sure this class account law is actually implemented and actually being used in policy.
Larger frame, yes.
Yes, and for, I think the whole momentum continued for around 3-4 years with the support of many different people.
But you were part of it, right?
Yes, we were part of it. And now we're working on making sure this class account law is actually implemented and actually being used in policy. Yes, the Independent Research Institute of Mongolia, IRIM, was established in 2008, so soon we're celebrating our 11th anniversary. Many people ask us, why independent research? Why? What do you do? To answer briefly, any decision making for a country that wants to develop and that wants to make sure everyone is included in this development, it has to be the decision making has to be based on good quality and professional and independent research. We now live in a country where there's a lot of politicization. We talk about the political parties' ability to make good programs. So having an independent research is crucial. So is having independent media or any other body. Currently, IRIM is working on governance, education, gender, disabilities, mining and environment, community. So we try to make sure that we specialize even further in these key areas. Our researchers, our consultants at all levels are working to make an impact in their own sectors. So this is one area, and another focus area that we'll be working in the future is to make sure that Mongolian development experience is also shared internationally. So we're trying to build a knowledge hub in Mongolia where we include all of our research and evidence projects into one key hub or center.
Well, we talked about legalizing stuff, so we have to mention the policy-making environment, which is the government, which is the state. But everybody is talking about state or government doing actions, taking actions not based on factual research, data or information. Everybody's talking about it. But I think, what I want to ask is, how long does it take for any government of a developing country to get to a level where the government uses these factual scientific informations and researches and make decisions based on these informations? From your background, like, how long more do we have to go as a state?
Looking at other countries' experiences, it's very varied. First of all, it depends on the resources they have. Also the type of regime the specific countries have. And I think in Mongolia we have a favorable condition in order for policy to base on research. Why
Favorable.
I say
Okay.
favorable is because first of all we have a democratic system,
Yes.
which requires our politicians or decision makers to be accountable to the people. So although we don't see that much nowadays, as time goes by, as democracy becomes more quality-wise rather than just electoral or form-wise, it will have to go towards more substantial democracy. So for that, research will be crucial. And secondly, just recently we saw a lot of legal changes, for example, the Law and Development Policy and Planning, which requires any new plan or policy law to be based on substantive research. This is required by the law now.
Oh, it is legalized?
It is legalized.
Well, at least, okay, that's good.
So this is also, the passing of the law itself is a big step for Mongolia.
But I have to argue on that. Mongolia has pretty good constitution, pretty good compared to different stuff.
Yes.
But you know, when we are on the the implementation of the law, we are lacking. I think it's just my personal opinion.
It's not just your personal opinion. It's very accurate. It's described by many other research findings. But the reason why I'm quite optimistic is because I believe that for any policy or any major change or social change to happen, it has to happen step by step.
Okay.
So we see in the long term, in the last few decades, relatively improvement, betterment of this kind of policy environment. We're not going backwards, we're going to the right direction. It's not as fast or as easy as we would like it to be, but it's there.
Okay.
And not only the legal environment should be there, but also people doing the research. Not just individuals, but actual institutes, professional institutes should appear, like in our case. And on the other side, the policy makers should start seeing the value in research, why they should use.
How long do you think it will take? Just say number. No, you know, recently I saw this this word. Well, change your word dream to a goal and plan, and it will happen. So, how long do you think the Mongolia?
So nowadays we're setting all of our goals and targets by 2030.
Okay.
Mongolia's long-term development vision is also up till 2030. So I hope by 2030, relatively
reasonably.
Because even nowadays we don't see any government that's 100% doing everything based on research.
There's no 100%. There's always a problem.
So I would say 2030.
2030. Okay, let's hope so. As a person, as a citizen, what would you like to change in today's society in Mongolia?
First of all, now Mongolia is developing very quickly, but the largest fear I have is inequality.
Okay.
So still poverty remains high, almost 30% in Mongolia.
So gap in wealth?
Gap in wealth, gap in access to services, education, even housing. There are gaps in almost every domain of life. So I would really urge social policy and Mongolian people in general to be aware of that and to support as much as possible some kind of inclusive policies. We're a nation of only 3 million people.
Yes.
So we should be very aware of each other's challenges, support each other, and I think it's very possible. So that's one thing I would really like to change.
Well, I recently did research on life quality in Mongolia. Do I say the right term? Life quality?
Yes, in a way.
In our society, right? Can you share some interesting facts or numbers like data? You are a researcher, and So can you share some interesting facts and data from
Yeah.
that research?
Our research was called the Social Well-being Survey of Mongolia, which we basically measured whether people trust each other, whether people are willing to work, cooperate with each other, if so, with whom, and with whom they would not.
Okay.
And the general finding we had was people were very much favorable towards their own surrounding, which means directly family, friends, relatives, colleagues.
Direct surrounding.
Direct surrounding. It's common, of course, in any human society, but in Mongolia it was higher than other countries.
Okay.
But when we ask about whether you would be willing to work, trust a stranger, or people you don't know, people from different land, different nationality, religion, political party, the gap becomes really big. There is almost really low levels of trust, which kind of explains why many of our social problems are not being solved, because people are happy within their own life. In their own homes, they're fine. But
we are in a way isolating ourselves from the outer world.
Yes.
In individual way and in as a society. At the same time, no.
Exactly. Yes. We don't really see ourselves responsible as part of a social problem, changing social problem. We don't see ourselves. Even if we see ourselves responsible, we don't take actions. We are pretty individual-based or family-based.
There comes
structure.
the nomad lifestyle, no? Well, I meant to ask you this because you are doing this research and we are doing. Mongolia is a democratic and democracy came from the Western society, and Mongolians have nomadic lifestyle, nomadic life, right? So there has to be the way of life that differ. So I think there's some difference or contradiction that these nomads who are living in only learning to live in urban lifestyle and trying to adapt to this city lifestyle, or how does it show up on the research? Is there that difference?
Yes, of course. Democracy anyway has many different forms. There's social democracy, liberal democracy, etc. And Mongolia, up till now, of course, we developed a type of democracy that gave taste to people more about freedom or more about the right to exercise their electoral decision-making power and things like that. But now, I would say it's the first step. That's set up, that's good. And now we need to move on to the second step, which is actually about saying that democracy is not just about you alone, it's about the society. So now let's fix the societal problems together using democracy as a tool.
Through our talk show, we will bring you entertaining personal talks with certain individuals. These individuals will be divided in two categories. Number 1 is I Am Mongolian. In this category, guests will be proud Mongolians who have stories to tell to the world. Number 2 is I Love Mongolia. Through these talks, we will introduce expats and non-Mongolians who are related to Mongolia one way or another. Heartfelt stories of their love affair with Mongolia, the land of blue sky.
I started at music and dance college when I was 7 till around 12. But since then I haven't been practicing as much as I should. But I just enjoy playing it every now and then when I'm alone at home. I never play in front of other people. But my friends and classmates are now professional pianists and musicians, so I enjoy watching them playing, and I often go to the opera to see different classical music concerts, so that's an important part of my life.
Well, tell me about the future as a researcher, as an analyst, as a person who works with data and numbers. What is the future you want?
So
you.
Personally?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Personally, I'm trying to work to make sure Mongolia's development experience is also shared with other countries, developing countries. And for that, we need people who are there, who share our stories, who are vocal. So in the next 5 years or 10 years, I'll be working mostly on that goal, hoping that Mongolian researchers and development workers can go abroad and start sharing their experiences.
Experiences of Mongolia. Well, are you proud Mongolian?
Of course, yes.
Okay, why?
I would say, just like as we were discussing earlier, I'm proud of Mongolia's democracy.
Okay. That's very new generation talk.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, we are the generation who are living in, who are taking the advantage of democracy, really.
And I think this democracy has a lot of potential for especially young people. Although the numbers say young people face a lot of challenges, like unemployment is twice as high among young people compared to the national average. There is still some opportunities, but as we discussed earlier, we need to make those opportunities available to those who need it, not just for the few. So that's what I will be working for the rest of.
Socialism try to do it, no?
To a certain extent, yes.
To a certain extent,
yes.
Right? So I guess we have to fuse socialism and democracy with the right amount. And come up with something.
We can have our Mongolian-style democracy that's successful, that we can share the world, look at our development experiences. We did it. That's what I hope to do in the future.
Well, thank you very much for your very interesting takes, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I wish you good health and good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, that's it. This has been Miss Dolgion Aldar, and see you with the next episode next week.